Hey mini enthusiasts, how you doing? Welcome back, it's part 29. I couldn't leave you hanging, could I? Those two dents, they're both sorted out. It's back to perfection, courtesy of a company called Dentz in West Sussex. So I'll stick the link down in the description down the bottom. I think you can see they've done an absolutely amazing job on that. It's like it never happened. And so, I'm back to building the engine up. So I did miss out some of this footage. I thought I'd put it all in last week's update, or the week before anyway, but I didn't. I missed some bits. So we're just building up the ancillaries on the engine here. Just fitting up the last few bits and bobs, the timing chain cover, the thermostat housing, setting the tappet clearances, and then in a moment I'll fit the alternator on. To be fair, probably fitted up a few too many bits, because what we did find when putting the engine in was the automatic gearbox, as I'm sure many of you know, is a little bit bigger than a manual gearbox, and it's just that little bit more tricky to get in a mini subframe. So it was a bit of a struggle, but we did get there. So while I'm building up the engine, Mark is just doing little bits and bobs, preparing and painting just a little bits, dashboard parts. And this really is a nut and bolt rebuild on this car, so pretty much everything has needed some attention. As you can see, boxes galore there. One thing I've struggled with on this build actually is finding parts. So Mark's fantastic. He orders pretty much everything we need in time, ready for the build, but they just come in big boxes, and I kind of feel guilty keep asking Mark where bits are. So yeah, I'll try and find bits, but yeah, I don't know how many individual parts there are on a Mini, but it's got to run into the thousands, if maybe. Mark's youngest there running around helping us out, so this really is a family build. So you'd have seen Lucy helping out before. The kids get involved as well, so when it comes to Jubilee clips on radiator bottom hoses, kids have really small hands and little fingers. They are absolutely brilliant for getting into those tight to get to areas, and yeah, they're cheap labour as well. You just give them a chocolate bar, fizzy drink, and they'll work all day long. So I've kind of run out of bits to do on the engine at the moment, so I'm just over there cleaning up the air filter housing. So we're using a standard Rover Mini SPI air filter housing, but with a K&M filter inside. And again, purely just for driving pleasure really, so we could fit a K&M 57i kit. Would sound a bit more raughty under the bonnet, get that induction noise, but it's going to detract from the overall sort of feel and driving experience of this Mini. So this is not about speed and noise and going as fast as possible. It's about being refined, driving nicely, nice and smooth, and yeah, comfortable to drive along. So we're going with the standard air filter housing. You can see me and Mark there fiddling around with wiring looms. So this is where it really gets confusing, because I think I recommended to Mark to begin with that we build the car as either an SPI or an MPI, again purely for reliability and because they run nice and smoothly, and you just turn the key and they go. So Mark got an SPI engine and wiring loom, but bought a carburetted shell. So that has caused a few problems as we've got round to rebuilding the car, because there's lots of brackets, fixings, and even the floor pan is different on a carburetted model to an SPI. So we've had to overcome those little bits as we've gone through it. But now we're sort of getting to the point where we've got a second down wiring loom. We've got a couple actually. One off the original car, which is a carburetted loom. So that's different in the interior to an SPI loom. So there's three parts of the loom really. There's the engine bay, there's the interior, and there's the rear part of the loom. And we got a mixed match of all three, so it's a bit of a problem. So we did kind of work it out here. We kind of sussed out what went where under the bonnet in the engine wiring loom. But Mark took the plunge actually. After us having fiddled around with that wiring loom a bit, there's broken connectors on it. The insulation's rubbish and it just looks old and tired, corroded connectors and that sort of thing. Mark went ahead and just bought brand new wiring looms for the engine bay, interior and boot. Quite expensive, but I really think it'll pay off because there'd just be no faffing around. And as you can see here are the interior parts of the dash in primer, cut out, ready to accept the stereo gauges and the kit accessories. And now Mark painted them, so they're painted in 2-pack. I have to take my hat off to Mark here. He is really good at painting, far better than I am. I've been fiddling around all my life. Mark's been doing this for, you know, a couple of years. He's far better than I am with a spray gun. Gets a better finish. I mean, look at that. That's phenomenal, that is. So for an amateur, Mark, you've done really, really well. I looked at the arches earlier. He's got metal flake in the arches and he painted them himself. The rocker cover, absolutely phenomenal. I did scratch it, but we won't mention that. And number plate cover. So the good news is the sheets are down, all the messy work's done, and Mark has his full workshop back, so it just makes life a lot easier. So you can probably just about see the full workshop in the picture here. There is space in here for probably about 10, 11 minis, 9 comfortably, and you can walk round them. But yeah, you can fit 10 or 11 in there. Funnily enough, Mark has enough minis to fill the garage. So the only problem is when you want to do some work, you end up having to move some out. So luckily Mark's got a bit of a driveway, places to put them, and some other little lock-up garages to put them in as well while builds are going on. So we're just finishing up the final assembly ancillaries on the engine, ready to be craned into the engine bay now. Don't know whether you can just make out on the bottom right hand corner there, but it's got an electronic speedo on it. It will be an electronic dashboard, so it's got a transducer instead of a speedo cable. So that's fitted now, because if you've ever had to do a speedo cable on a Mini, it's a real job to do. And the transducer's probably not quite as bad, but it is still very, very tricky to get it down the bottom there. So, fan on, and I can guarantee you that is the right way round. I'm sure someone's going to look at that and say it's the wrong way round. I know you will, guys, but honestly, it is the right way round. And if it is the wrong way round, I ain't changing it. I shall reverse the timing and make the engine run backwards. So just getting the crane ready. Mark put the bonnet on, but I think the bonnet's coming off again, just to make sure we don't damage it fitting the engine in. So lowering the engine into the subframe is kind of in the next update, and I'll tell you what, we had some problems doing that. Some of those problems were self-induced, and I'll go over that in the next update, but like I said right at the start of this, the gearbox is physically quite a bit bigger on an automatic, so it really does make it quite a bit more difficult to get it inside the subframe without causing damage to the wings and bonnet and that sort of thing. So we're drawing to an end now. Thanks for tuning in this week. I'll have another update because I've got plenty of SD cards ready with footage on them that I need to get editing, rendering and uploading. Thanks for tuning in again, guys, and look forward to catching you in what will be part 30 now. So, see you soon, guys. Have a great week. Cheers. Bye.